All right, it's JPEG Raw, show number 224 here at the end of November, Tim. Past Thanksgiving, past Black Friday, past Cyber Monday, but it's still Cyber Week, right?
Yes.
Do you pick up anything photo related to any of those holidays?
No, I didn't get anything photo related. No, I was pretty quiet. I looked at a couple of things. I know I wanted a photo display, but I didn't buy one. The prices were there, and I just couldn't pull the trigger on it. So I did get a Google Home Hub, the little screen, which is kind of like the Amazon A-Word one, and so far we like it. It controls all my lights in my house. My music plays over it. So.
Yeah, I did not pick up anything either because I mentioned in the pre-show we're going back to Alaska this summer, so we were buying the flight here around this time, and so rather than spend it on that kind of stuff, I spent it on that, which is pretty big purchase in the first place. You mentioned. I don't want to spend too much time on Black Friday and that kind of stuff, but you mentioned the Google Home Assistant and the Amazon version of that. If you don't have either of those devices, and I have the Amazon stuff, if you don't have any of those devices, man, those have really come a long way. They can do a lot, and they're integrating more and more into the house. My wife uses it a lot. We have the show, which is the screen one. You were talking about that, where you can use that for timers and for recipes and for whatever else, and then we use it for music and we use it for questions and stuff. They've really come a long way. Even controlling some of the lights, we do that with. So those two have really dominated. If you don't own one of those, there's a wide variety. And
yes,
now
there are.
We've ended up with. I had a vendor send me the Echo Dot, which is, you probably can't see it, but it's this little bitty guy I have back here. It's a little bitty puck, like a little bit bigger than a hockey puck. Send me one of those just to try and get a meeting with me, and they're not going to get the meeting, but they now I have that, and I'm thinking, where am I going to put it? I almost have one of these in every room already.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so
I have so many things. It's like, all right, where am I going to stick the next one?
Yeah, once you get them, they're pretty. Yeah, once you get them, they're kind of addictive.
But I did get the Google Home Hub, which is like the Amazon show, and I replaced my my alarm clock in my bedroom with it, and it also displays the photos that I've taken, go over it. You ask it questions. It's Google's definitely better at answering the odd questions than the Amazon version was, and that's the reason I want to go with that. My kids got the show in their room, so.
Yep. And some of the things we're going to talk about later are somewhat related to this, but I don't know about the Google Home one. If they don't have it now, they probably will. But the Amazon one, now you can even do Skype calls on it.
Yeah. So
like if you have maybe your parents or somebody who's not very technical, you could gift them one of these things and have it Skype set up for them. And then Skype call to them. Now they'd have to go stand in front of that thing wherever it was if you wanted to see them.
Right.
So there's that thing, and I don't know what kind of protections there are, because if you, like for me, the call we just made now to get the Skype call, every Skype device that has my account on it goes off.
Right.
So my phone goes off, every computer goes off. If the Echo was connected to that, it would go off. So that's not maybe the best use case for somebody like me, but maybe my parents, who don't know how to do that, that would be interesting to call them and to do that with them. So, I didn't get anything either. I would like to get, but with a lot of photography stuff, it's already have the cheap stuff, most of the cheap stuff, right?
Yes.
So the stuff you want is like I want is not cheap.
It's not cheap, and it's
thousands of dollars.
I put it on my wish list, and nobody's buying that for my Christmas.
$1,500. So it's you wish you could buy it partial, and I don't want to recommend anybody going into debt unless you have some business plan that would allow for that. But the hobbyist like me, you shouldn't go into debt. But I will tell you this: that on some of the products on Amazon, say you're buying a lens and it costs $1,500, $2,000. There are some of them where you can do a zero interest. I think it's a 5-month payment plan where they will charge your credit card for 1/5 for every 5 months. It's you got to be careful with that you don't buy too many of them and get stuck and can't afford to pay it every month. but that can help spread that out. So if you're looking for that lens that is, maybe you don't want to chunk down the 1,500 to 2,000 to 1,000, whatever it is, all at once, that may be an option where you can do a 0% interest and pay it over time. And now it's only 0% if they charge your credit card. If you don't pay off the credit card, it's no longer 0% interest. There's going to be interest on that.
Like 20%.
Right. So you have to watch out for that. So the end of November also brings us to the end of the November photo contest, Tim. Mm-hmm. And this month is like last month, and we've been doing it for a while. It's an open theme, and we're encouraging seasonal images for this month, for November. You got 3 days left in the November to enter at the time of recording this. And then we will start the December contest, which December is the best of 2018. Mm-hmm. It's the best of the year. So the way that works is a little bit different than, I got something odd here. Hold on. A little bit different than the normal contest where you can only enter 2 images that were taken during that month. The December contest, the best of, you can enter any image you took during the whole calendar year, 2018.
Mm-hmm. 2018.
And any image that you entered into one of the monthly contests. So let's say you entered one image every month. You can enter each one of those 11 images plus one more.
Right.
That you took any time during the year, and you can re-edit them. Now, so let's say, for instance, you had an image that you go, wow, I wish I'd have edited that a little bit different, and I want to do over. You can go and re-edit it and submit that one again. You don't have to. You could just submit whatever you want. But that's a way for people who've submitted during the year to get some extra entries. You do those same images with an extra edit if they wanted to. There's also, unlike the other months, we'll probably have a prize. Okay. We don't really have much revenue generating right now because I don't push the Amazon link in like I used to. It's still out there, but I don't push it anymore. And we'll have some kind of prize. I have to think about what that is, but some kind of photo-related prize for that. And so you have to December 31st to get that in, and then we'll have some panel of judges. It'll be our normal admin people who will narrow it down to 6 images. Mm-hmm. Those 6 images, and so let's say just to clear that up, you entered 11 images plus one more. You entered 12 images. Only one of those can make it to the final. So if the admins
only one of your specific.
So if the admins vote you as first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place, you got you racked it all up and got all 6 places. Only the first one gets in. So you can't get more than one spot. So those 6 images go to the final round, and then we'll have another group of photographers outside of the admins. Although I think you and I, Tim, are still included, who will do the judging. AD will be AD Wheeler, who's my co-host on another show, will do that again this year. And I may see if I can get Walter Arnold, who's not been a guest, but I met him last night on Fallout 76 as we were playing the game together. So I may see if I can get him to be a co-host too. I mean, it was judge.
Like, wow, that's
a judge, not a co-host, a judge. So let's see those images for 2018 coming up next month, but you still have a few days left to get into this month. All right, so a few articles I want to talk about tonight, and then not a featured photographer, but a featured photos, maybe.
Okay.
We'll say there. So, we're talking about. You were talking about, I think you brought this up, digital frames. You're looking at maybe getting digital frames. And there's this article over on F-Stoppers from Mel Martin, who was brought this idea. It's not new, but he's been thinking about it. He doesn't print that often. And Tim, how many images did you print this year?
Maybe a dozen.
Oh, you did better than me. I printed less than that. I don't print that many. And my wife
and probably half of them were this past weekend from my mother-in-law.
I don't print that many. So I know there's lots of people who are better than us who print all the time.
Right.
There's other people who don't print that often either, like just like us. And you share them on Facebook or wherever else you want.
Right.
And Jan says she wants a prize video of Tim and AD and Mike meeting for the first time live. So that's right.
That would be cool.
The three of us have never met in person. And I guess I need to come up to you guys because y'all are semi close to each other compared to where I'm at.
Yes.
Anyway, Mel was talking about, he doesn't print that often, or no, he does print, but it's very expensive. It's very expensive when he prints. You get the print itself, you got the photo frame, you get all this kind of stuff. So he was looking at buying a digital frame, and he came across this one that is a mural digital photo frame. It's a 27-inch 1080p photo frame. So it's huge.
That's pretty big.
It's huge. I'm not. This one is available over on B&H. It's like $600. It's not one that I'm interested in per se. What I'm more interested in is one that we've talked about in the past. My wife, I had one that I bought for my mother-in-law years ago. It worked great for a while, and then when she passed away, we brought it home, and my wife used it. And then about 6 months ago, it died. It just wouldn't come on.
And I had the same exact brand, and mine died probably about 6 months. 6 months ago. That is so weird. I just tossed it probably about a month ago, and I unplugged it. I said, all right, maybe you know what? Yeah, unplug it for 20 minutes, plug it back in.
Oh yeah, I did all that.
It would power up, and then nothing. I was like, it was so disappointing because it was a great frame.
It was, and we're talking about the Nix, it's NIX,
right.
Yeah, NIX frame. They can be, I think that mine had Wi-Fi, and you can load it up over the internet. It had where you can plug in a card or a USB stick or something like that. You do have to decide, like in this case, we're showing it in the the horizontal position, the landscape position. So in that case, you really would want all your images to be landscape. You can put it into the portrait position, and then you really want all your images that will be displayed portrait. It's not, to me, it doesn't necessarily replace hanging photos on a wall because, you do have to run power to these things.
Right. So unless you're going to get an electric line behind it, and that's even difficult. You don't want a wire hanging from your wall.
Yeah. So, as far as I know, none of these run off a battery, and if they did, they probably wouldn't last that long, and then you'd have to change out the battery. But if you have a situation where you have a parent or even yourself, you want to have a photo, and that you can have it in a place where it doesn't matter if you run a wire, even though it's wireless for the Wi-Fi, it's still wired for the power. This is not a bad option. It's only like a little over $100, depending on which one you get. The one I'm looking at here is the 10-inch. The 10-inch widescreen.
Yeah, and that's not bad because I think I had the 8-inch. A 10-inch is probably what I would want.
Yeah. Now that's the widescreen. If you go to the 15 inches, a little more square. So you need to get your photos to kind of fit that. I like the widescreen version, and we'll go with landscape photos. So hopefully my wife is not listening right now. This is probably one of the things that's going to be on our Christmas list that I'll get for her. Because in her office, she can put that there as a photo frame. If you're putting this on your desk at work, or if you have a desk at home, and maybe you have a photo right there, you could replace that with something like this.
Right.
And it's a way to get your own photos, in use rather than just being on Facebook.
Now, does this one do via Wi-Fi though?
I don't know if this one particular that I'm showing is.
Yeah, I don't think this one does, and that's why I think it's probably a little cheaper.
So you may have to pay more. I like the widescreen. Here's the 8-inch widescreen. So you got to look at what's going to be your size. I don't know if that one. This one also says not Wi-Fi compatible. There are ones that are Wi-Fi compatible.
Yeah, the Nix Play is the one that has it, but it's an additional $40.
Yeah, and then there's also ones that are in different type of frame. Where this one's more like a wooden frame. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. More like a wooden frame. So you can get some that kind of look more like a regular frame. I know these are not new; they've been out there for a long time. But it's something to think about, get your photos being used other than just on Facebook or Twitter or wherever else you're sharing them, or maybe just on your phone.
I mean, I have tens of thousands of pictures on my computer and nobody ever sees it. And my friends always make fun of me. Yeah, you always have your camera, you take pictures, we never get to see them.
I know. Yeah, even when they come to your house, they don't get to see them.
Right.
Because when you look here, you can see this photo right here.
Yeah, how old is that picture now?
You can see a little bit of it, and that's like a 20 by 30 of my son when this kid is now a sophomore in college, and that photo you can't really tell because it's so low. Maybe hold on, there you can see a little more. He is got to be like 5 or 6 there. So what does that make that like 12,
15, 16 years ago.
15, 16 years ago. And then you can't see this one in front of me is a Bluebird. I think that's a 16 by 20 or 24. I'm not sure. And those are the last times I've really printed really big. It's been a long time. So I've printed really big, that if I remember. No, I do have a couple others. So I'm horrible about printing, and something like a digital frame would help me out.
Well, I just added it to my wish list. So
there you go. Okay, Tim. Who do you've mentioned before who you worked for, right?
UPS.
Yeah, UPS. Are they busy this time of year?
Oh, yes.
Do you guys have good delivery rates? Like prices? I mean, competitive. Yeah. Competitive prices.
Competitive, yes.
Is it cheaper than $10,000 a pound?
Yeah.
Because there is a shipping method that costs $10,000 a pound on the cheap end.
I can't imagine.
You don't know what that is? And it also has to be something that is worth shipping, that you'd pay $10,000 a pound for.
That's for sure.
And we know what that is. It's a Nikon camera.
Oh. Did you see the eye roll?
I did, yeah. And the sigh and everything else. So apparently, up in the space station, the International Space Station,
$1,000 a pound, yes.
Have an International Space Station where they don't have UPS delivery. They get their Nikon cameras, because apparently that's the favorite up there. Their Nikon cameras are delivered, and it costs $10,000 a pound. So this one, I think this is a Nikon D800. Oh, no, what is that? I can't remember which camera that is. It's an 800 millimeter lens.
Jeez.
With maybe a Nikon, some Nikon, I can't remember which one. But it costs $130,000 to ship that thing there.
My God.
$130,000 to ship it there. I'm sure that other things were going along with it.
Yes. That wasn't all they shipped up there. But that's anything you ever read, weight is at a premium on any space mission.
Yes.
So you're sending up 13 pounds. It's
a Nikon D5. There it is. Yeah. And that's apparently the flights have not gotten cheaper, because that's what NASA says the delivery was $10,000 a pound. There is now that SpaceX and a few other people are doing it. Actually, some other people say that the actual price is closer to $43,000 a pound, which would dramatically raise that $130,000 delivery fee up. There's a picture here. You can't really tell very good, but there's a whole bunch of camera equipment, all Nikon, back on the back wall behind this guy getting a haircut up in the space station. Mm-hmm. So they like their Nikon gear up there. I guess it just works better in hostile environments.
Well, whatever works. And you use what keeps working until it breaks, and then you go to something else.
Another Nikon. I had to bring that up because I know this time of year you guys are super busy, and this is one thing you guys can't deliver, but it is one thing that they're willing to pay extra to get delivered.
Well, you talk about that, and I've seen just about everything get shipped through UPS. Literally everything has been shipped through UPS. And I remember walking through a building once, and I saw a tub. A tub came through UPS, and it came next day air, so overnight delivery from Florida. And I had to look up how much it cost to ship, and I forgot the number now, but it was something like $900. I'm like, wow, who the heck is going to spend $900 to ship a tub from Florida to New York overnight?
They must really.
And then
need a bath.
It got to the job site and didn't get installed that day either.
Yeah. They did not install it that day. Christina's out in chat says it'll be cheaper to send it back since it won't weigh it that much.
There you go. Yes, I like that.
I do too.
And they don't have to worry about film anymore.
Yeah. No, they don't. All right. So that was funny, and I thought a timely thing.
Space. Nikon in space.
Nikon in space. So here's another one that I talk about quite often. We're going to get to the part that I talk about often, but there's a man who is suing Adobe over a Premiere Pro bug that happened back in 2017. And the bug that he's claiming is that it ate all his video files. Premiere Pro is Adobe's video editing software that whenever they updated it, it had a bug in it that when you went to clear your cache, your cache for Adobe Premiere, it sometimes would delete things that were not part of your cache. In this case, he claims, it deleted over 500 hours of video he took between 2010 and 2017, somewhere that says that, 2010 and 2017, or 500 hours of footage that he had stored on one external drive attached to his computer. And that's the only place he had it, was on that one external drive that was attached to his computer. And so he's suing them, wanting $5 million and wanting it to be a class action lawsuit and get a jury trial and all that kind of stuff. You could see, it'd be interesting to see what happens with this. I bet you Adobe settles for something
out of court that you won't hear about.
If he is willing to be reasonable, because when you get in front of a jury, you have no idea what's going to happen. If you have a jury member on there who has had any kind of computer problem, which is everybody, you might be able to convince them that we need to make these guys pay. This guy here doesn't deserve this money, but these guys over here deserve to pay something.
Right.
So we have nobody else to give it to. So you could see something like that happening. There's been crazy things happen when you go to jury trial. So often corporations don't want to go to a jury trial. And so we have to watch this one and see. The photographer's name is David Keith from Maryland. David Keith Cooper from Maryland. He claims to be a professional photographer. I've never heard of him, so maybe he is. He doesn't have any backups. He didn't back up anything.
He can't be that good of a photographer then.
Yeah, so that
professional.
Yeah, that makes you think right there. So, yeah, exactly. Because if you're being paid to do work for somebody else, you can't blame this problem on Adobe. You can fuss at Adobe, be mad at Adobe.
Because sooner or later, that drive may have failed on its own. What are we going to do? Sue the drive manufacturer then?
Exactly. And if you read Adobe's terms of service, which none of us do, but if you do, it says in there that they're not responsible for those kind of things.
Nope, not responsible for your data.
Yeah, so because what they're saying is, look, you may say, well, wait a second, they can't delete your files and claim not to be responsible. What they're saying is you're responsible for having proper backups. And so if in the event that our software messes up and deletes your photo, your stuff, then sorry, go get it from your backup and you're back in business. Report the bug and we'll fix it. What they're saying is we can't be responsible for the fact that you weren't responsible for backing up.
Right.
And
now what the key to this is he wants a class action suit because... And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And it's in California, so go figure.
Yeah, and talking about drives that'll fail, I had one 2 nights ago, not last night, night before. No, last night. Failed on me and my server, so I'm down one drive, and this is a case where I didn't have a spare ready, so I've had to order one and thought it was getting here today and would get here tomorrow and slip it in there before anything goes wrong. Those drives will fail. And in my server situation, I won't go into here, but it can handle a drive failure and still be going. But you need to replace those. You got to back those up, and not just to a server in your house, but to some offsite location or another computer. Right?
Yeah, I hope he doesn't win.
I hope he doesn't.
It sets bad precedents.
Because we've talked about before, you can have a natural disaster, you can have a fire, you can have a theft, you can have just your hard drives die. And in here, you could have an errant program, Windows, Mac, some software you load that messes something up and you lose files. Mm-hmm. And your only way to recover is to go back to backup. You could get a crypto virus.
Right. Exactly.
If you get a crypto virus, and we've had it hit twice in the office and we caught it before it went too far. If you get a crypto virus, you have one of two choices. One of them is getting to be a lower and lower probability that it'll work, and that is to pay the ransom. Used to be back in the day when they started, you paid the ransom, it worked, and you got the key, and you can unlock your stuff. Now, more often than not, you pay the ransom, you still don't get it unlocked. So really, the only reliable way to recover from crypto is to restore from backup.
Yep, that's why you have an offsite backup and you have that local backup, because a local backup will get you up and running quickly.
Yep. All right. So last thing I had up here before we go into the end is this is a big news story that we haven't talked about yet, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it because I know you use this service. You used to use it a lot, and that is where is this?
Flickr.
Flickr. This is Flickr. Yeah. And what this article is saying, always download your photos. I'm not sure what that means. Download
I don't know
them
what that,
because you had to upload them in the first place to get them there.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're not uploading them and deleting them.
Yes, but didn't you at one point mention that Flickr was kind of your
It was like my offsite backup.
Your offsite backup, because back in the day, these guys were owned by Yahoo.
Right, and they had full resolution.
Yeah, and Yahoo has a way of taking any good product and totally destroying
it.
They will find any valuable resource and just completely kill it. And that's what they were doing to Flickr. They bought Flickr, and then they were finding every way they could to kill it. But one of the things they did in their effort to try and save it is they gave a free 1 terabyte of storage, and they have a incredible amount of photos there. It's in the billions, I believe. And I forget how many, I think 100 million accounts, something like that. It's just amazing. So do you still actively use Flickr?
I haven't uploaded anything to Flickr and God, I can't remember. So,
okay.
And I still have a pro account there, but,
so you had a pro account. I'm wondering.
And I still have it.
Okay. I'd like to hear from anybody else. If you use Flickr, if you had a pro account or don't have a pro account. I wish AD was, we have him on a show because he has strong opinions about this, what's going on with Flickr right now. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be on the same side as him, so it might be interesting for us to talk about it. But how much was the pro account that you were paying for?
Well, I'm reading it now. It says $49.99 per year.
Is that what you were paying, or is it? I know that's the new price.
Yeah, no, that's a new. I want to say it was like 25 for 2 years.
2 years, okay.
It definitely wasn't for 1 year, and I'm gonna go into my Quicken account and see if I could find how much I paid the last time for it.
So what they were doing was giving you free 1 terabyte of storage that you could load up as many different photos or videos as you want, I guess, until you hit the 1 terabyte limit, right?
Right.
And I'm
nowhere near that.
1 terabyte is quite a bit. It depending on if you're uploading videos, you can chew it out pretty good. But if you're uploading photos, and even if you're doing JPEGs, I mean, 1 terabyte is a lot. You're going to put a lot of photos on there. But there's a problem with a business model that is free. You've probably heard the term, if you're not paying for the service, you are the product. Something like that.
Yes. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and Mark over on Facebook says, just recently signed up. I can't see the whole thing. What's happening here? I need to make that a little bigger. Sorry, Mark. There we go. Just signed up recently on the pro account myself to save my 16,000 photos. So that's a good point that Mark's making. So what's happening is the free is going away, and I'm always worried about a service that is free, because that's a bad business model. It's eventually that free service is going to go away.
It catches up with you.
It's going to go away. I know that sometimes we want to think we can live in utopia and everything just be free, but it doesn't work that way. People like to make money. Everybody listening to this probably likes to make money.
And even if you don't have to make money to provide the services, think about how much server racks they have to have, the cooling and everything. Exactly. That isn't free itself. Nobody's giving that away free.
I just mentioned the hard drive of mine died. Compared to the service that these guys are running, my thing is minuscule. I have, I think, 58 terabyte of storage now, And a drive is going to fail probably once a year. So I'm going to lose a drive. I got to replace them. There's a cost to that. There's a cost to power that. And imagine on these guys' scale, it's huge. So they can no longer offer the free 1 terabyte of unlimited. So what they're doing is they're going to, if you're not a pro, you're maxed out at 1,000 images. 1,000 images and videos, I believe. So I don't know what they're doing with the size, but 1,000 images or videos. Come January, what is that? January 8th or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and find it. Watch next. Nope. I missed it. Where did they say that? Anyway, January 8th, that's right. On January 8th, if you're over the 1,000 limit, you're locked out of uploading any more photos. Come February 5th, if you're still over the 1,000 limit, then they will start deleting photos from the oldest and moving forward. So if you are over the 1,000, if you're like Mark over on Facebook and you have 16,000 plus photos,
yeah,
you have a choice: download 15,000 of them, which is going to be a tough choice.
Yes.
Or pay the pro account. And the pro account is what, $49.95, $49.99
right.
a year.
Yeah, and I just found it on my thing. I paid $44.95 for 2 years of service.
So more than double the price.
Yeah, more than double. However, the good thing for me is the last time I paid $44.95 was apparently August of 2018. So I have 2 years. I assume I have 2 years. I'm gonna have to look at what it says on there, but
if you went there, if you went there expecting a free service and now you got to pay, that does suck. I get that. It's I can't say much about that. You lost your free service, but $50 a year for Mark, I don't know how he feels, but for $50 a year to hold 16,000 photos is not a bad deal. You're actually getting a decent deal. They were bought recently by SmugMug, and I'm sure SmugMug, when they bought them, already knew they were going to get to this point fairly quickly. You don't buy a service. I imagine the service was losing tons of money for Yahoo, like everything Yahoo touched, and they probably bought it thinking we can convert this and make some money from it. Now, you do run the risk of killing the service and getting a bunch of people to leave and not doing it. But if you make some improvements and you can stabilize it, one of the issues they had was it was run on Yahoo servers, and the Yahoo servers are probably not keeping up with their competition. So they're moving the entire service off of Yahoo and on to Amazon Web Services. We talked about Cyber Monday and Black Friday and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people forget that Amazon is the biggest cloud in the world. Amazon runs Amazon Web Services, AWS, and I believe even services like Netflix run off of Amazon Web Services. They are the king in that, although Microsoft is starting to challenge them, and Google's a distant third. But they're just incredibly massive. So moving Flickr off of Yahoo servers and on to AWS will probably provide stability, better uptime, and maybe even faster response. It gives them more options to grow the service in the future, but you got to pay for that. Amazon does not offer that for free. There's a charge for disk space and for bandwidth that they'll have to pay for that.
Well, and looking at you get 15% off of Adobe's Creative Cloud through this, so that would save you money right there. $35 off photo books through Blurb. 4 times a year. So reality, if you use some of this, the coupons, and in essence, you'd actually make that money back for the $50 a year that you're paying in a pro whatever you want to call it.
Now with 16,000 photos, Mark must be an active member over there. I'd be interested to know from Mark, if you're still out there, are you using this from a pro perspective or just a sharing perspective, or like talking with other photographers on Flickr versus Facebook or something like that? How are you using it? And how do you feel about paying for the pro account? For me, I'm not a big Flickr user. And so for me, who's not a big Flickr user, I still get the free account for under 1,000 photos. So I'm actually okay. It's probably those people who are like the 2,000, or in Mark's case, he's trapped 16,000. He's got to do a pro account if he wasn't already.
Well, I'm trying to see how many pictures I have uploaded in here. It does tell me that I have 780,000 views.
Wow.
But how many
780,000 views? That's pretty good.
Yeah. 28 gigs of storage of my unlimited use is in here, but it doesn't tell me how many photos I have.
Okay, so 28 gig, they gave you before this 1 terabyte. I was just using a piddler amount.
Yeah.
You had lots of room left.
Yeah.
It also, sharing with the high school, I take photos for those kids and their parents. Yeah, so there you go. He's getting probably tons of views and lots of use there.
Right.
Especially, I don't know what kind of photos, but if you're taking sports photos or event photos or something like that, you rack up quite a few photos. If you were using this, or you're using your 1 terabyte as online backup, and you weren't paying for it, you got to think that's not the best use, the best way to do a backup. I think you need to have a service. Mark says sports. You need to have a service where you're paying for and doing that. For a while, I think it was less than a year, Amazon actually said if you're an Amazon Prime user, you get unlimited photos, and they also said something else. I forget what it was. You paid a smaller amount and you got like unlimited files or something like that. I can't remember what it was. So I took them up on that and I loaded up, I think 5 terabyte of stuff I uploaded to Amazon. And then they must have decided that's not going to work out. And they killed that plan. So, you hear about the cloud, and somebody was asking, one of the executives where I work were asking me, where is the cloud? What is the cloud? And I said, look, the best thing you need to remember about the cloud is it's just somebody else's computer. There's no magical, fairyland of clouds. It is someone else's computer that they're paying for the maintenance and the upkeep and the replacement and the power and the internet and everything else. They're paying for all that. So if you're getting it for free, they're either doing something with your data that you may not like, or they're not going to be around for very long.
Right. Now, where do you want? I mean, I back up. I tried the Amazon backup. I had a lot of issues trying to back up, even though I'm a Prime member. It says I'm full after I reached 2 gigabytes. So I stopped using it. I gave up trying it. I was using Flickr, and now I use Google Photos because it uploads the full resolution photos anyway for me.
Yeah.
So that's one of my places. And I wound up having pictures everywhere, and I don't like having them everywhere. I think that's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
Plus, I have a hard drive that I bring over to my in-laws' house once a year. I recycle out my current year photos and just keep adding to that one, bring the other one back, and update the new one.
Jan says, do I pay for extra photo service or buy groceries this week? And that's the case. If you are where the $50 is a big deal, that for because you might say $50, how big of a deal is that? But all these things add up. It's not just the $50. It's everybody wants some of your money, and it just may be the straw that broke the camel's back. So you got to decide, hey, do I want to do that or do something else? So it's all different. It's all relative to whatever your situation is. Ronald says Crash Plan Pro for FTW. I don't always FTW. What is FTW? If you're wondering where I'm getting these comments from, for what it's worth, yeah. If you're wondering where I'm getting these comments from, you listen to the recorded version. We stream live to YouTube and to Facebook, and there's people out for the win. Yeah, that's what you're saying. There's people There's people out on both. I left Crash Plan and I went to Backblaze because of what they did to the Crash Plan home users. I went to Backblaze. Wow. I've been happy with that so far. But find some service like that. That you're comfortable with. Crash Plan Pro is what you can use that. Backblaze, what do you call it? Carbonite. And in this article, another article about Flickr, I wanted to point out that they mention things like, you can also, Google has some storage where you can do that. If you get to a certain limit, you have to pay for it. And Amazon has some that you can do. I think if you're a Prime member, you can, there's a certain amount of photos you can do, maybe unlimited JPEGs. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but you can do some stuff like that. And then they mentioned something like Dropbox, where Dropbox is a cloud service that may feel like it's on a folder on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's this article or another one I was reading. Dropbox is actually a folder on your computer with a middleman in between. So if you have a computer at home and a computer at work, those files are literally on both hard drives at home and at work.
Right.
And so it is not like a folder on your computer. It is a folder on your computer with one exception. This is why it's not a backup. If you delete, depending on your settings, if you delete a folder, file from your home computer,
it'll delete from both.
It'll delete from everywhere you have it syncing from.
Right. If the hard drive crashes, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
But if you delete it, right.
Yeah. They do have some versioning, so you can go back and get that, but that's not truly a way to do backup. For me, though, like I was saying, I'm not going to pay the $50 because I don't use it heavily enough like that. Although you getting almost 800,000 views on your photos, that's pretty darn good.
And every once in a while, I'll get an email notification of a photo that's been favorited, and I'm like, and I forgot one of the pictures that I had on here. I wonder if it still shows me my all-time views. It's a German American parade, New York City, 4,000 views on one picture, and I have multiple like that. Used to be my son with Alice in Wonderland down in Disney. It's got 2,300 views, and I'm like, really?
So we got a comment in chat that says, "Who's the cute guy calling in the blue shirt?" And I'm not wearing a blue shirt, so we know who they're talking about, Tim. This person said, "Who's the cute guy in the blue shirt?"
It's got to be on Facebook where you're reading that one from.
Yep, it's on Facebook.
Okay.
So you got somebody out, you got a fan out there. I'm not going to tell you who it is, though. Don't look.
Okay.
We'll talk about it in a post show. He may know this person. All right, so that was the last article. I did want to go into, instead of a photographer of the week or feature photographer, that's what we call it. I want to talk about this one website. You just went to Facebook. You cheated.
Of course I did.
There was his wife. I think she's biased.
Yes, probably.
All right. So instead of a feature photographer this week, I'm going to show this one website. We talked recently in one of the photo review shows. I think Norman has submitted some bird photos, and some other people have submitted some wildlife photos. I like taking wildlife photos too, and some of the wildlife photographers I've seen are just, they do a lot of work to get these great photos, and it's not easy work. So, but for somebody like me who wants to take better, it's inspiring to see what some of these other people do. There's a website out here called the comedywildlifephoto.com, and they have just released their 2018 winners, and it's of cute or slightly funny wildlife related photos from a bunch of different people. So I'm going to just go through a few of the winners this year. This one is a squirrel, and it's from Alex Walker, and the title is "Caught in the Act." And who doesn't have? I mean, the squirrels all over my backyard. So I'm sure I don't know. Alex probably takes tons of photos of squirrels, and happened to get this one of the squirrel that looks like it's caught in the act.
Red-handed.
Caught red-handed, got his hands out.
Yes, you got me.
And his mouth wide open. Really, really awesome.
Stop.
This one of a shark that almost like it's smiling right before it goes and eats you. Bird, I don't know if that's actually from the bird or that's gum that was already there. An owl there. This owl kind of peeking up over the top. There's some awesome photos there. Mama, I'm assuming that's a mama bear with the 3 cubs.
In the tree.
Up in the tree. And I've seen this one before. This one is a polar bear from, Raleigh. I can't see the name. Anyway, a polar bear looking through you got a camera on a tripod, and the polar bear came up and looks like it's actually looking through the lens.
Viewfinder,
the
right?
viewfinder hopefully did not break that, because I'm just one swipe of that paw, and that thing is destroyed.
Yeah, oh man, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God. Now I wonder if he's really that close to it, or if like there's a telephoto lens in the way
he's compressed it a little bit, makes it look like it's closer.
I wonder if I assume he is there, but
what happens? I'm sure the polar bear is not trying to get a view through the thing. Is a telephoto lens. Let me look for some prey. More likely, it's going to see something odd and going to go up and smell it.
Yeah, go investigate it.
Yeah, but it's still a cute shot. And then two bear cubs look like
that's
they're
a
dancing.
cute shot.
Look like they're dancing.
Rough day at work.
Yeah, this one looks like he has a rough day at work. One moose sticking his tongue out at the other one. I love this one. The brown bear who's leaning against a sign that says, "Remember, stop for buses, turn on headlights." Like he's giving a community message. And here's two monkeys. One of them is like he's kicking the other one, jump kicking, and then two what is that? Iguanas? What are they?
Or those
those lizards?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, lizards.
Yeah,
whatever they're called.
I can't remember what they're called, but they look like they're
the dragons.
Look like they're slow dancing.
Kimono dragons.
Almost look like they're slow dancing. And then here's a rhinoceros that looks like... This
rhino's got a peacock feathers behind him.
Yeah, it looks like he's wearing some kind of tutu or something.
It looks like something that would have been on one of the Disney Follies.
Yeah.
No, that's a cool shot.
That's a cool shot with the squirrel kind of... He's got himself stuck between
balancing and
two flowers that look like they're slowly separating themselves, and he's trying to stay. It's almost like when you go. You've seen this in some kind of comedy shows where a person goes to step on the boat, and the boat starts to leave, and they have 1 foot on the dock, 1 foot on the boat, as the boat kind of separates. Then we're back to that, and I want to show a couple of the honorable mentions, the finalists, because there were some good ones here. Like this one from Sarah Devlin. Two polar bears dancing. They don't have a name attached to that one. Oh, Lucia. We've seen that one. Let's go back to the main list. But anyway, check this. Oh, that's a cute one. Check comedywildlifephoto.com out. Lots of good photos, and it's got multiple years here going back where you can look at that. They're a wildlife conservation site. Their title, their little tagline is "Conservation through Competition."
I'm looking at the one with the it's got to be some sort of deer with staring directly at the camera. A little further down, I think. Yeah.
Must have been a mid-chew or something. It gives it that weird look. Oh, yeah. Those are good. Yeah. Those are good. Lots of good ones here. And I've looked back at some of the other years, and they're pretty good, too. I love polar bears. Anyway, check them out and enjoy a few photos. I don't know if they... what else they do besides competitions, but, you can go there and check it out. Speaking of checking things out, if you're not already a subscriber, go over to jpegtoraw.com/subscribe, and there you can get us on, from audio, you can get on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, and now Spotify. And we have the list of people subscribing from Spotify growing like every other day, Tim. So we got to start putting out more shows.
Yes, we were a little lax recently.
And if you want the video format, which of course is what I recommend, we're on iTunes, Video Large and Small, YouTube, Vimeo, and Podbean over there. And speaking of, we have been we've missed a few weeks. We're probably going to miss some more time between now and the end of the year. But starting next year, we're going to get some guests back on the show. If you're new to the show, I don't know how long Jan's been with the show. You probably think all we ever do is talk about news on this show. But the history of the show has mainly been about interviews. Tim and I interview in different photographers. Ron, who's out in chat right now, has been a guest on the show before, and a number of other people. So we're going to mix that back in 2019 and get some more guests. We'll still do some of these, but we'll get more guests back on the show starting in 2019, and I have a few already that we're working on. So be looking for that. So hang out for a little bit in the post show. And let me mention this before we go, because we talked about this before we even went live where people saw us. But the Fitbit challenge between Tim and I is over. There's no more challenge between us, because Tim has left the Fitbit universe.
He went with a Galaxy smartwatch.
And there's no cross thing happening.
No, too bad. And I liked I've had a Fitbit for quite a few years, but the battery just started fritzing out in me, and I wasn't going to spend the amount of money that I've been spending on that. So
yeah, but I am still using my Fitbit, and when this one dies, I plan to get another Fitbit. So look for me out there. I have not been doing good lately with the colder weather. I've not transitioned, and now AD Wheeler, my co-host on the other JPEG Draw show, has corrupted me and has me playing video games until late at night that I'm willingly doing. So all those things have conspired against me getting my steps in. So, I saw Michael, what was his name? One of the from the JPEG audience that is a Fitbit friend of mine was out there, and he's been trying to encourage me to get me going more. And so far it's not working, but keep it up. I will get there, and I got to lose. I really want to lose, Tim, 30 pounds before the cruise, so I can do some of the things I want to do. So I got some work to do, and I'll get back at it. So look for Mike H, I think is what I'm out there. If you have a question, if you can't find me on Fitbit and you want to be a Fitbit friend, email me at podcast@jpegtheraw.com, and I will help you out with that.
Right.
So we'd love to have you, out there in the Fitbit family if you're there. If you're on, I don't know what you got going on with yours, Tim, but maybe they can do something there. I'm not going over that way. Those are good watches, but I'm going to stick with Fitbit for now. Yep. All right. So hang out for a little bit of post show, and then we'll see you maybe next week. Good night, everybody. Keep it raw.
Good night.